Welcome, Lottie. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. I'm so excited to introduce you to the Shift series and to introduce the audience to you. This is Lottie Ryan. Lottie and I have been weaving about each other for some time. I'm a big fan and admirer of her writing, and so grateful that you were able to take the time today to join us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm so grateful you're having me here to talk to me today.
Oh, absolutely. Not only am I a fan of your message, and I am so grateful for your transparency and sharing your story, but you are a tremendous inspiration in how you are walking through life, inspiring others, but also doing it from a truly feminine and authentic place. And so I want to get to that, more of it, but first I'm wondering if you would be open to just sharing a bit of your story and how you ended up where you are at this place in your journey.
Sure. Thank you for
Sure.
that. It was really lovely. Um, I guess I should tell a bit about my health situation. So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis in my early 20s and went through a rigorous 10 years trying to manage that illness, which is an inflammatory bowel disease. In 2008, aged 32, I underwent major surgery to remove my large intestine, my colon, and my rectum. And I had an ileostomy bag for 6 months, which is an external bag. And then I had my J pouch formed, which is internal
Okay.
and totally awesome. So, that whole journey really brought up a lot of stuff. This was during my 20s.
Yeah.
In my late 20s, I had my two children, and by the time I had that first set of surgery, I was really, really sick.
Yeah.
And I'd been sick for a long time, really incapable of doing anything. I couldn't even look after my own children at that point. I was a real mess. So the surgery was so traumatic. It was a horrendous surgery. It is a horrendous surgery. But I got through and I survived. And when I came out, I started to blog about my recovery and just really getting some semblance of life back. I was still chronically ill, still had a number of different health issues, but I'd gone from on death's door to being functional, which was an impressive change from my life. And as I blogged about that experience, people became really interested in the things that I was doing. And I'm a really functional, practical person, so I love routines and I love, just doing things in a methodical order. So I started to talk about these steps that I was taking to just bring myself, my body, my mind, everything about me back to life. And what I discovered over that time was that I had neglected my femininity.
Mm.
It was by no fault. Inflammatory bowel disease is just not an attractive illness. It doesn't matter how you spin it. It's just a horrible, yucky illness. You spend all your time in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's all about poop and all those yucky things. And it's not feminine. It's not remotely feminine. And I had neglected my femininity because of that. And yet I realised that and I think I now know, so many women get so much strength from our femininity and from feeling beautiful. And I don't mean that in some kind of aesthetic beauty.
Right.
I mean just wholly beautiful as ourselves. And so I blogged about these steps, and then everybody was very enthusiastic. Things just went a bit wild on social media. And it was a very exciting time. But I was still sick, and I was still struggling with my health. And I just couldn't blog and concentrate on what I needed to do with those steps.
Yeah.
So I came away from the blog, decided to write a book, and then just as I was writing this book, I got seriously sick again.
Okay.
And in 2013, spent a lot of time in and out of hospital, and eventually had yet another major surgery to this time remove a section of my small intestine.
Okay.
That was devastating. That was so devastating. To be back in that space.
Yeah.
So many years later. And it was an incredibly traumatic experience again. I don't think you can go through these major surgeries without it being traumatic, because it's so damaging to the body.
Right.
But I nearly died, literally nearly died. They spent 8 hours fighting for my life after my surgery. And I came out of that really a mess. That's the only way I can put it. Physically and emotionally down, very, very down. And I spent months in bed, and I just really struggled. And eventually, I think I just literally woke up one day and just thought, what can I do for myself? Because I could feel myself sinking too deeply. And, you know, I've been there before. I've suffered from depression in the past, and I could just feel it coming. And I remember during even though I was foggy-headed, that I was writing a book on the steps for recovery. And it was just like, I have everything there, literally written for me, and I have done it before. I need to go back and do it again. So I started reading this, and I started working through these steps. And within weeks, I was back to myself. And my friends were like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I'd literally just gone into hiding. I was in my bedroom. I wasn't doing anything socially. I certainly was not looking good. And I came back to life. And I realised then that I really was onto something special, and that if it could help me twice in such a significant way, then it could help so many other women. So then I had to go on a journey to discover how to deliver it to women, and that's how I ended up being introduced to you.
Yes.
And so many other fabulous wellness advocates, because I decided to launch a website and become a full-time entrepreneur and get my word out to other women like me out there who are struggling, but know that they have some strength inside and need some tools to bring that out and to make life work again. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
So that's my story. It's not really in a nutshell, is it?
I know. I'm so grateful for every piece of it. There are so many components of your story that we all can relate to, and that a lot of people don't talk about. We don't talk about the fact that chronic illness can be messy and yucky. We don't talk about the deepest depths. We don't talk about the impact on our femininity. And yet, talking about it, shining the light on these topics, destigmatizing it, and then taking steps to restore what we've lost are the steps to healing. So, again, I'm so grateful for the way that you are going about sharing your story in the world. This piece about the femininity to me feels so huge. And when I talk with entrepreneurs and I talk to on the wellness side and the coaching side of my business, I'm always talking about this thing, resonance. And resonance comes from a combination of your authentic voice, how you congruently show up with that voice, and then how you align to your audience. You are an absolute natural at this. And I would love to ask you about this interplay between the femininity as a healing tool, tapping into it, really honoring our femininity, but also how it speaks to your resonance, because it's truly how you walk in Beauty Way. I had the good pleasure of being in your home briefly and meeting you, and you carry Beauty Way not only in your clothing but in your home space and in your exchanges with your children, and that Beauty Way to me is an expression of that divine feminine, of our femininity. So it's this beautiful pairing that I see. So it's no wonder you're so resonant. Tell me how that femininity piece evolved for you, and how and when you began to see that it was not only an artistic expression but also a healing expression.
That's such an interesting question. I think through my journey, through blogging and through sharing my experiences with other people, I became more and more engaged with my femininity, and for me that came out in vintage. And so I got completely immersed in this beautiful world of glamorous vintage way of life and presentation. And the people I met were just so feminine, classically feminine, externally classically feminine. And I think through that whole lifestyle that I started to adopt, I just became more and more attuned to my femininity and started to realise that it was such a resonant piece of me and my character and my personality. Historically, I have to tell you that I have a grandmother who is an amazingly feminine, wonderful cabaret artist.
Oh.
So, you know, I spent my life around glamour and beauty and just this amazing charge of femininity. And so I think it was always a part of me, but my disease had made me... I felt that it had made me neglect, just completely drop it. I think
Yeah.
a combination of that and early parenting.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a mum with
Right.
they're pooing everywhere as well. I mean,
Right.
there's me pooing everywhere, and there's my babies pooing everywhere.
Yes.
There's a lot of poop
Yeah.
in the house.
Exactly.
And you know, it just is not conducive to femininity.
Yeah.
So when I started to, what really happens, I had an ileostomy bag, which is an external bag of poop on your stomach.
Okay.
And I can tell you now that changes everything.
Sure.
And that really made me contemplate what femininity meant to me. And actually what happened is, when I had this bag, my health improved so dramatically.
Wow.
I felt amazing.
Wow.
I felt the sexiest I had ever felt.
Wow.
I had this bag of poop on my stomach. I mean,
Wow.
you would never,
right.
How can you understand that as I tell you that? It sounds insane.
Right.
But I felt really sexy and really beautiful because I had energy again.
Yeah.
Because I'd stopped living in the bathroom and I had stopped being so dramatically affected by my illness. And yeah, I had this bag of poop on my stomach, and I have a husband, and you know, it's not attractive. It doesn't matter how you spin it.
Yeah.
It's attractive. But I felt beautiful, and that changed everything. And it made me realise that feeling beautiful, it's an internal thing. It isn't about anything external. Yeah. As long as we can feel it inside, it doesn't matter what's going on the outside. We can project that, and we can invite more beauty and love as a consequence, or it's just part of it, into our lives. And I ended up going on this incredible journey where I discovered amazing underwear. I mean, I was very lucky, right, because I'm into vintage and it's all high-waisted stuff, so everything I'm wearing covers the ileostomy bag and looks great and is really functional. And at this time I'm dancing all the time. I'm dancing for hours partner dancing, hours and hours and hours all the time. And I decide that I truly want to embrace my femininity, and I really want to explore that in terms of sexual energy and just feeling really good.
Yeah.
So I did a burlesque course, a burlesque dancing course, and my husband's like, "Oh my gosh, Lottie," Charlotte actually, he calls me, like, "Charlotte, please don't take that too seriously, because I can handle a lot. I know how you go with this, but you'll end up on the stage slipping off or something, you know." And I didn't quite go that far, but as you know, I did start pin-up modelling.
Yes.
And this just became a creative expression of my beauty, because I could live my ultimate feminine fantasy in front of the camera. And this was everything. This included everything for me. It was all the creativity of planning a shoot, of designing the costumes, of styling the shoot, doing my hair, doing my makeup, and it has become an amazing outlet for me to really play that strength of mine. But what I've learned is that femininity comes in so many different ways for different people, and I am all glamour, vintage, but people can be the complete opposite of that. No makeup, natural.
Yeah.
Femininity is just something that we feel inside, and I use external tools to really tap into that and to really engage with it. And that's what I encourage other people to do, because I think finding that inner strength is difficult. It's something we struggle with, particularly when we're down or when we're lacking confidence or we're feeling sick.
Yep.
And so by taking these external tools and just being very, wearing mascara and brushing your hair and just simple things, they can just give a slight turn in attitude and help us engage with what's really about in here and in here.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that feminine sexual energy is so linked to our healing energy. It's so linked to our life force energy. And so to somehow be trying to usher in one without acknowledging a need to shine the light on the other is a disconnect. And it was a disconnect for me, which is part of why your story speaks so much to me. In fact, sometime around this time last year, decided to do a boudoir photo shoot, mostly because I was so incredibly resistant to it, because the concept terrified me, the idea of picking out lingerie and going and doing this, and it helped me experience layers of healing I hadn't even anticipated. So yeah, I just want to encourage people watching that if this feels like something natural and like a fun artistic thing for you to do, do it. And as Lottie is saying, be inspired to do it in your own way and find an expression that's in alignment with your own creative expression. But if it feels terrifying and like something you would never do it too, because you will find the pieces of healing that are wanting to come up. I was amazed at what it brought up for me in terms of past trauma, past wound, past inner self-worth, probably even coming of age wounds. All kinds of things are wrapped up in this concept of our own expression of our femininity. And there is so much healing power in allowing yourself to be journeyed by taking the steps. The other one I love is that your particular expression brings in another component that's so powerful for healing, which is the imagination. So your ability to step into vintage, to place yourself in another alter ego or even era, there's so much documentation on the power of the imagination to lift us out of our current healing crisis. And so again, it's this really unique and special thing you've done to model bringing in the vintage as a time machine to healing. So I hope.
I need to copy that down now.
Yeah, it's all yours. So I so hope we can include some photos with your guest blog and with your interview. I encourage people to get over to your website. It's a healing journey all in itself, just to click around and to be in your vibration, to read your words. Get on the mailing list for sure. Lottie, you have a course coming up that's going to be exactly about this, helping move people through reconnecting to their feminine. Tell us just a little bit about what to expect with that.
I'm super excited. I'm super nervous because it's the first time I'll be delivering this, but it's called Fire Up Your Femininity, an A to Z to rediscover you.
Nice.
And it is everything. Everything. I've just put everything into this. It's every step that I've taken. It's literally 26 steps, the A to Z.
Wonderful.
Or the A to Z, as we say.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to introduce it to people because it's literally going to walk women through very simple, step-by-step ideas of how to engage with femininity, and I'm going to be there alongside them every step of the way, mentoring them through the entire process. It's actually a program. There's an 8-week course, but it's a year-long and beyond program. And I just know it's going to change people's lives, and I can't wait to get it out there. Like I said, I'm super nervous too, but I can't wait to share it because this is literally what I envisioned when I came out of my last surgery and went through that recovery process. This was what got me back.
Love it.
Out into the public and out talking about my story and sharing what I've been doing. So I can't wait. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited too. I'm serious when I say I feel that it's a missing piece. I feel that we have a lot of wonderful resources on the dietary components and maybe on the mindset and how to find the practitioner, but we don't have a lot of mentorship and women leading us towards recovery from this place of your own self-care, your own movement, your own expression of the feminine. So I'm super grateful for the work that you're doing in the world. I would love to ask you before we close, someone has found their way to this interview and they're feeling disconnected from their femininity. They don't know where they would begin to take these steps that you call them towards finding a new definition of wellness or healing for themselves. What is one thing that you would recommend that they do, that anyone could do to get onto this path of recovery and healing?
So I think you probably know what I'm going to say here, and people look at me like with wide eyes and go, what? I encourage women to take a 5-minute shower every morning.
Yes.
I know it sounds crazy when I say it to people, but the feedback I've had about this is been amazing.
Yes.
It's something that I discovered is really important for myself, and what it comes down to is it's putting yourself first at the top of the day.
Yeah.
Yourself, your self-care, your self-love at the very beginning of every single day. And there's something incredibly cleansing. The obvious properties of water are cleansing. There's something very spiritually cleansing about being in water as well. And to start your day with your body in the water in that way, you can explore your body. You're cleaning yourself. You're checking yourself. You can be in touch with any issues that might come up. This is when women find lumps and bumps and problems, if there are any. But more importantly, it's just about being with yourself for 5 minutes at the beginning of every day. It changes everything. I actually had a lady write a handwritten letter the other day. I got, it was beautiful. It just turned on my post, telling me how, you know, she kind of frowned when she read this and thought, is that it? You know, and because I talk about this on my blog a lot, but tried it and did it every day for a couple of weeks, and she said she just can't believe the difference it's made in her life. And so now I am a huge advocate. This is the one thing I say to people: please take a shower every day, because it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just 5 minutes of your time for you, and it is functional. It serves a purpose, but it has a much bigger impact on everything that you do.
I love it. I love that you bring in the ritual component, the core routine element, and also have kind of made it ceremony to honor the self. So, so beautiful. Well, Lottie, I can't thank you enough for joining me here this morning. I know we had a little bit of a journey ourselves getting to this point, and I'm so grateful that it brought us to this day. And I look forward to staying in touch, and I'm on the list for this course when it comes out. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye.